Let's go back in time, 2023, the day the once legendary website used for instant global video call connection, Omegle, finally stopped its service and dissolve forever. Today, if you search up omegle.com, all you and I are going to see is a letter written by the founder. In it is a story that I wish will never be forgotten.
This gotta be the toughest text I've read on the internet. And the most painful part of this story is, what do you call an interaction with another human being that went on for 4 years? A relationship.
Meathead! You're not a law student or a philosophy major. You're gonna contradict yourself, or worse, saying something stupid and offend a lot of people.
Be quiet, frontal lobe. I can't afford to hesitate what some people never given the option to choose.
To me, this is more of a eulogy, and really I'm glad it wasn't written as an apology, even though I know he would have encountered no difficulties putting together a sincere "my bad, I've tried" message, because he himself is also an unfortunate acquaintance of childhood assault. It doesn't take much to see how the supposedly maximum safety guarantee, that is the key feature of Omegle, was so deeply rooted in his past. We might have not gotten an apology here, but that is no reason to dismiss the guilty feeling he bears knowing his intellectual offspring was readily weaponized to terrorize kids. Dude, no one should be blaming you for keeping your regrets to yourself. If it's too brutal to face right now, take your time.
This is the part where I made a funny face. In recent years, it seems like the whole world has become more ornery. Ornery means quick to be annoyed and attack and react. Sure, I wouldn't argue that. I don't see that's happening on the internet. Maybe it's different in the real life. See, I'm not being ornery here, but I get the memo. People aren't as open to have their opinions challenged as they used to. Let's see what the stage is set for. One aspect of this has been a constant barrage of attacks on communication services. I get that as a business owner, seeing your franchise being sued over and over is furiously demoralizing. Omegle included, based on the behavior of a malicious subset of users.
Like, stressed out so much about it anymore. First time skimming through the text, my goofy ass led toward like behavior and subset of users to let me see it as a valid complaint. Behavior and subset of users, are these the best references we have to condemn these vermin and their way of living? Are you kidding me? You would only use these very non-specific words to put together a context that can be easily excused and dismissed in other cases, almost making it sound like these outliers were just using the web to inconveniently harass others. Why freak out over a few bad apples? Is that right?
To an extent, it is reasonable to question the policies and practices of any place where crime has occurred?
To an extent, it's reasonable to question the policies and practices of any place where crime has occurred. What really bothers me here is the fact that I don't disagree with this statement. This kind of oversimplification to avoid mentioning the critical specifics is so irritating. Yes, every time a crime or an accident happens, we try to highlight responsibilities of all the involving parties, including the victims. But in your particular complication, the victims were kids. These were tiny humans that have just started to learn what makes them happy. They were just starting on the first line, on the first page of their very first journal, and if unlucky, shortly after, they'll be left believing it was entirely their fault. That changes everything. Would you not agree that overdramatic reaction and extreme correction is the only way to go? It is the least we could do to demonstrate care and priority for the younger generation. Once youth are endangered, your problem became our problem. I mean, we're talking about a crime that is dehumanizing. The injury doesn't cause immediate casualty, but sometimes they wish it had.
I feel like it's good.
I'm jealous, you know. I wish I could do this. Do you do this for your own drink?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad it turned
Honestly, the more I reread those two paragraphs, the more they remind me of the kind of people who'd say, kids don't know any better. They won't remember. So instead of focusing on the system that took away his company, why didn't he call out the real poopy worm that ruined the party from the inside? At the moment the letter was written, there was not a thing could be done to recover what was lost. But he still had the golden opportunity to sound the last bell of caution, warning everyone about the demon online, urging developers to rethink user safety so their products won't end up like his. But instead, we get this sour gray letter that is a reminder that the world we live in is broken and messed up. So Omegle's goodbye gift was a bucket of cold water. How profoundly thoughtful is that? In a moment, I'm gonna try stepping into hot water. The thought of turning the spotlight onto the subset of users feels as if I'm about to have a taste of Buckley syrup for the first time. Do you also think that there's at least one common denominator among this kind of offenders? Imagine the kind of interrogation that occur when they're confronted. Chances are they focus on the details of the accusation, but very little on the offender's perspectives of their action and of themselves. I could be wrong. You know, if I were to have a conversation with someone like that, I don't know what kind of assumptions I would adopt beforehand. These assumptions, they're icebreakers of a script tailored to cultivate insights that could help categorizing their curses and isolating the devil bug. If I have that opportunity, do I assume beforehand that their obsession is a phenotypic expression of a genotypic defect? Would I assume that they're aware of the perpetual infliction, the unceasing hurt they left behind? Do I assume their assault is an act of revenge or simply casual amusement? Still, there has to be a common denominator. The one feature they all share that led them down the path of allowing their lust to become their purpose. But for the sake of urgency, is it okay if I roll with they're all slaves of their own touchy addiction? And if they hadn't let internet porn conquer their will, some of us will never have to be. Never have to be so fucked.
Wow. That was mad. Attempting to verbally outline the kind of invisible injury that even the player themselves couldn't fully wrap their head around. There's one thing I've been hesitating to mention. If I were in high school and was assigned a writing task about this event, certainly I would dedicate a sizable length of the essay to criticizing the adults' failure to supervise and observe. Wouldn't that be a big mistake? Especially if my English teacher were a parent? F for failure to sympathize. You think if I get to meet the plaintiff's parents, would they tell me all about their newfound commitment to youth protection, or I would only see with my own eyes the brutal image of how guilt parasitize? That's enough. Yeah, for everyone who supported the final legal decision, I think it's so fucking badass that we're willing to cut off our own limb. That here is Omegle, a brilliant tool but far too powerful for those with evil agenda to protect our people. If something like that emerges in the future, I hope we approach it with this anecdote in mind so we could protect ourselves and others. Anyway, thanks for coming this far, and see ya. Damn. Look it. I knew this was gonna happen. Be careful, kids.